Hi, been asked by a few people on YouTube and how I managed to get some of the angles of the film that I've been doing whilst I've been winging, namely this one and also this one. The first one has been mounted on the wing, and I've used something called a tracer sky mount. I picked it up second-hand, believe it or not. There's not that many of them around, but I picked it up second-hand from a kiter who ordered it and then didn't actually get on with it. So luckily I managed to get hold of it. It's a little bit cheaper than a new. This is it here. You can see it's a company called Tracer and the sky mount. So basically it's designed to go over your wing bladder, and the idea is you put it on when you're deflated. When you then inflate, it will actually then grip and it will then hold. It's actually pretty good once it's on. It is quite sturdy. The thing about it is that it actually looks to me like you're supposed to just put the GoPro like that, and that just ends up giving you a view that is not really upside down, not really the right way up, but sideways, which you can't really do too much about afterwards. So I've used some of the GoPro mounts to actually try and make this a little bit more user friendly. So you can see the GoPro. It looks to me like you're supposed to put it in this area here, and it can be moved, and you actually have these little markers here which you can get your angle correct, which doesn't really work on the wing. So what I've done is I've used a couple of GoPro adapters, and by putting it on this way round, what you can now do is angle it side to side, but you can also angle it up and down as well, and you can also angle it like so. So what I tend to do is I put it on, get it sorted on the wing. Unfortunately, once it's actually on, it's very difficult to move it this way and that way. You can move it a little bit that way, but not a huge amount. But the nice thing is that it's not going to move when it's on the wing. So what I then tend to do is you're looking through the back screen and then line it up, and I put it so that the boom, which is going to be a fixed point on your wing, is just sort of showing in the top part of the screen, and you get a nice view then of the board, and you get a view of a little bit of the wing and the boom. And obviously one way you're going to get looking down from the top, then you're looking down on yourself, and then the other way when it's going along you'll be getting quite a nice view of the board, your legs and stuff like that. Unfortunately, what I have found is that it's very difficult to get the foil under the water unless you actually angle it a little bit more down, which means you then don't get quite a good view. But I tend to fall off quite a lot at the moment, so every time I change direction I just move it slightly. But the nice thing is that you can actually line it up first of all with where you want to see on the screen, which is, I'll show you now how I do it. So mounting it to the wing is actually pretty easy. You can put it in lots of different places. You do get these pads which you can adjust to the size of where you want to put it on your wing. You get different sizes, and you get multiples of as well. And I thought it would be a bit easier to just set up for my 6 meter. So when I put my 4 on, I thought, oh, I'll put a couple in there. They don't stick. The pads that they provide, they don't stick to this. So once you've stuck these on, that's it, you're pretty much stuck. But what you can do is you can use a piece of towel or something, just anything really, just to pad it out a little bit, because once it's pumped up it doesn't move. It is pretty good. So let's have a look at fitting it. You can see now that's pretty solid. It's not as hard as it needs to be. I'm not going to pump it all the way up, but that isn't going to move. It's not going to go left or right. Right, so what you can do now on the beach is you can adjust the screen so that you can see. So there you're just going to get loads and loads of wing, which is not going to be a particularly nice shot. Obviously there you're just going to get loads of sky. So the idea is to try to have a little bit of wing, but if you have it so that the bar is, you know, about here, you get a nice view of the wing, but you also get quite a nice view of, you know, the board, the rider, and stuff like that. Obviously you can do more if you need to that way. That's the beauty of having the extra mounts on there. But it's weird because you think you're going to have it just pointing straight down, and it gets a bit boring after a while because you waste all this. You just see the wing. So that's the beauty of this. You can actually adjust it before you go out, and that's how you get that shot. Obviously, if you put it down here, this part of the wing, it'll be more straight on. If you put it here, then it'll be more that way. But the mounting does actually help. So that's the tracer mount. Okay, the other one I use is this one, which is actually a mast mount. It's to go on the top of your mast so that you can look down the sail when you're foiling or windsurfing. But obviously I use it on the boom of the wing. And you can see that's not going anywhere. You'll have view down, or you can view like that if you want to with this. It's alright, it's not very good on the 4 because it's too close, but on the 6 it's quite nice. Actually, it does work quite well. So that's that one there. They're pretty useful, and a lot of use on this, and as you can see, it's been well and truly battered. But yeah, that's a good bit of kit as well. The other one is the good old-fashioned head cam. So I've got a floaty on the back. I've lost it a couple of times. That's quite bright. That does actually show up quite well. If you have a bit of a crash, that comes off. Not much of a problem with that one. The problem with having it in the typical position like that, it's a bit boring, to be quite honest. You just get a picture of, you know, the sea and maybe a little bit of your sail. There's not a lot there to see really. There's not a lot of composition. So I tend to have it angled down a little bit so you get to see the nose of the board, mast foot, possibly your hand as well. And if I'm doing, so I want to get my feet, so I'm getting a position of my feet and that sort of thing, I actually then put it to the side of my head. So it's looking down because it's got such a wide field of view. You can still see forward, you can still see backward, but you can also see your feet. So that's another way of doing it. So you can have it sort of 45 degrees there, or if you have it, you know, a little bit more down, you get to see your feet down on the side. If you put it too far down, you end up getting all the side of your face. So it's an idea to check out what you think. But that is also a really nice bit of kit to use. It's been very simple and very effective. Okay, this shot which is probably one of the more common ones, over your shoulder looking. That's a K4 harness mount, and yeah, that's really nice. It goes over the back of your harness. You use the straps to strap your harness to, and it sits there quite nicely. You get a mounting for your carbon mast that they give you, which you can cut as you need to, but most people tend to have it quite high, and it slots in very secure. It's not going to come off, and that's that. So obviously with winging, I don't wear a harness, so I haven't used it yet, but I think what I'll try is take the harness hook off my harness and put this on the back. Originally, a few years ago, I actually made my own one. I had a block of rubber which I drilled out so I could get a carbon boom in there, or a carbon batten, and then actually screwed that to my harness, and that was the first one that I made, and it was awesome, and that made me sort of get into trying to find different angles to get through. So that's the K4. Again, easy to find on the internet. They're a good one. Okay, so this shot. That's with this. So using the mast mount, but this is one of those. It's one of these cheap eBay kits. This comes with it, and this is one of the ones that's supposed to go on a helmet, and then it looks back at you, so you can see where you've gone and that sort of thing. So, yeah, so you can put that, clamp that to the boom as far forward as you can, and then you can use this obviously to get a little bit of elevation and look back. As you can see from that little bit of video, the weight of the camera, once it's actually clamped to the boom, it tends to move. So when you're pumping or you're actually on the water, you get quite a lot of that, but it's quite nice because you see as soon as you start foiling, it just completely smooths out, which is cool. I mean, you could get rid of that if you've got a stiffer one of these, which I mean, probably GoPro actual one would probably be stiffer, but again, it's another nice use of the mast mount. Okay, and this shot, that's made using the mast mount again, which just basically has the camera mount on the top. But what I've used is a carbon, an old carbon batten, and you get the tubular section, which is, I don't know, it's about 12 mil, something like that, and cut it off. And to put the mast mount on, I've had to put a bit of gaffer tape to make it into a tube, as you can see. And then what you can do is clamp that onto it, gives it something to bite on, otherwise the batten on its own is not enough. As you can see, that's now on, and then it's good old-fashioned gaffer tape. Put that on the end of your boom. Probably need about that much lined up with the boom, and then just gaffer tape. The nice thing, it's quite stable. You can't do duck jibes, which I'm not doing at the moment anyway, but what you can do is, before you leave the beach, you can use this to line up the shot you want. It's a nice one because it gets the shot of the foil, gets a shot of the foil mast and your foot strap positions and stuff like that. It's quite a nice one to do. Yeah, it's good because sometimes you're just wondering why you keep falling off and stuff, so it'll tell you that you've breached, or that you've got weed around, or spun out or something like that. So yeah, that's a reasonably simple one. Again, you can put a leash from this through the center of the center, and then you can tie that to your boom. So if you do it, as you can see, this one here is quite badly broken because I was pumping so hard. I had it longer, and I was pumping so hard, and the leverage of this eventually it snapped off. So it was ended up sort of dangling in the water. So that was that. So I wouldn't go too long on it because this sort of does weigh a little bit, and obviously with the amount of pumping that you can do in light winds, I'd say it's probably more one of them days when you don't have to do too much pumping. You can just sort of sheet in and go. So yeah, that's another use for the mast mount.